This is going to be your guide for using Galarian Zapdos in Pokemon Sword and Shield. This Pokemon is busted. But before I talk about how broken it is, I do want to make an announcement. I will be making a moveset guide for all of the new Pokemon in the Crown Tundra, but the problem is, YouTube only sends out 3 notifications every 24 hours, and I'm going to be making more than 3 videos a day for quite some time to keep up with all of the Crown Tundra content. So if you don't see a moveset guide for one of the new Pokemon, check back on the channel. If it's not like in your notifications, if it's not in your sub feed, homepage, or anything like that, it's going to be there, don't worry. And also, check out the playlist and description down below. Maybe you also missed something else that I covered about the Crown Tundra. While you're at it, don't forget to leave a like, share it with your friends. Let's get into Zapdos. So, on the surface, it just kind of looks alright. 125 attack, 100 speed. It's a legendary Pokemon, so that's just like kind of standard. 90s on the hit points and defenses, like it just seems pretty straightforward. So maybe it's like move, its signature move is going to be super crazy, right? 90 power, physical fighting type move, lowers target's defense by 1. That's right. Ability, Defiant. It's not like a new ability or anything, we know what Defiant does. This Pokemon's attack is raised by 2 for each of its stats lowered by a foe. I mean, that's really good against Intimidate. It also works really well in doubles, but I don't see how this Pokemon is busted. Like, maybe there's something cheeky that makes it OP? But why are you talking about this thing as though it's a god? That's because this moveset makes it a god, especially with Generation 8 mechanics. So let's look at Thunderous Kick, Brave Bird, Blaze Kick, Throat Chop. You can head on over to Pokemon DB and find out that that is perfect coverage. That this hits every Pokemon, at least neutrally, and a ton of Pokemon super effective in Generation 8. And when you have perfect coverage, that also means while Dynamaxed, you're going to be getting bonus damage on a lot of these moves. Like, okay, Blaze Kick is an 85, that's kind of whatever, but if it turns into a Max Flare that you're using for super effective damage with a Life Orb and then that 125 attack, oh, that's just going to KO everything. Throat Chop, this is unnecessary. They didn't need to give Galarian Zapdos Throat Chop. This is what pushes the Pokemon over the edge, because you're a flying fighting typing, which means one of your stab is going to be immune by Ghost-type Pokemon. Now you just hit super effective. Potentially Dynamax boosted on the Life Orb, 125 attack, nothing's going to survive that. The only issue with Galarian Zapdos is that it has kind of a lot of weaknesses. Like 5 weaknesses, still a lot, but we've seen a lot of Pokemon that have it a lot worse. So I mean, Fairy, Ice, Psychic, Electric, Flying, a lot of things going to tag you, Ground Immunity, and then whatever resistances, like Bug Resist, ooh, Fighting Resist, ooh. Grass and Dark is alright, but yeah, it's like, typing doesn't really matter because you're just such an offensive threat. And then we're talking about Dynamax. So we have a 125 attack Pokemon with Life Orb throwing down the max Airstream. And that is what makes this Pokemon scary, because now all of these stats are just good. If you're getting hit by a neutral hit without Dynamax, you're surviving because of your base 90s. If you get hit by a super effective hit while Dynamaxed, you're surviving because of the base 90s, and then you're free to set up however you want. Airstream, 100 speed, well now it's a +1. Nothing is going to be able to keep up with you, and you also get Fighting Stab, so your Max Knuckle can KO opponents and then give you a +1. So let's see what that looks like with the damage calculations. I had someone recommend that I use Pikalytics because they already have the new Pokemon updated for the damage calcs. Problem is, Pikalytics is a little broken. Like, I hit Dynamax and it doesn't give me the max Airstream damage, so it should be 140 power. And then I have a Brave Bird down here at 140. It doesn't change anything, it just stays like this. So it's actually going to be 20% more damage, or like 16% damage or something like that. So the Brave Bird has 90% to 1-hit KO potential on the Silvally when turned into a max Airstream. That is nuts. And even like if you go up against a normal type Pokemon, if you have the opportunity to KO with a super effective max Knuckle, that is how you win the game. Because Galarian Zapdos can come out of a Dynamax with +2 speed, +1 attack. So we have a 125 attack Pokemon using powerful moves on incredible coverage with its Life Orb, and then nothing can touch it. It's just absurd. Now, the Brave Bird kind of puts like a timer on this Pokemon, because you can only Brave Bird so many things until you get KO'd from your own recoil, but Brave Bird is mostly there as an out. Like, if you absolutely need to use Brave Bird for that neutral hit to KO a somewhat bulky Pokemon, or maybe get like a super effective on, you know, like a full hit point defense Amoonguss or something, then that's what the Brave Bird is for. But in that, you just hit it with your other stab, and then at +1, that's going to be kind of ridiculous. But Zapdos also has a couple of things up its sleeve. Here are some other moves that you can splash onto its moveset to make it even deadlier. It gets the close combat. Once again, we're trying to not get hit because we're going for crazy speed and crazy Dynamax boosting, so I think the close combat is going to be better than the Thunderous Kick. Even though it lowers the target's defense by 1, I don't really see the point if you're trying to one-shot everything, and if the opponent's Pokemon survives, like maybe it has like Iron Defense or it's going for some kind of weird setup, then you're in like a weird matchup anyways, so I'd rather just nuke it out with the close combat before that matters and then just not get hit because I'm super fast and I'm doing crazy amounts of damage. So Brave Bird close combat is probably going to be the best for running this Pokemon. Did want to say that its signature move is going to be found on some movesets though. It also gets the bulk up, so you can eliminate the middleman in some situations, but this will take away from your coverage, so I don't like it. But I'm showing you the bulk up because you might see it. Galarian Zapdos, it gets taunt and bulk up. It can be an anti-stall Pokemon that then sets up. Okay, you lose. And then Airstream, Max Knuckle, or Brave Bird and Close Combat's going to be pretty strong. That's something to take note of. Steel Wing. I don't think Steel Wing is going to be super crazy because hitting a Fairy-type Pokemon is super effective 90% of the time. So it's like, it's imperfect. It only gets 140 power. I mean, Brave Bird with stab neutral is just going to be better than that. So this is what I mean. Like, you have 1 or 2 Brave Birds to kind of nuke yourself with, but if it removes the threat you can't otherwise KO, you're fine. Throat Chop the Ghost-type Pokemon, Close Combat the everything else that's neutral. Hey, you're fine. You can give up a Brave Bird. And it also gets Stomping Tantrum because ground, I guess. Like, you still have that coverage, and it still makes things pretty crazy on this Pokemon. So you'd be giving up, like, the Fire move slot, so you put in the ground. That actually has more super effective and less normal effective. So it adds a bit of extra scary stuff by giving you something to use against Fire-type Pokemon. However, that 75 power is low, and I don't really see anything that's going to set you up for failure on a move. So I like the Blaze Kick. It's just kind of there. But also, you can always react. My movesets are not absolute. It's not, you must only run this, and this is the only way you can play because Verlisify said so. It's a guide. This is for guidance. This is kind of steer you in the right direction, and if you like something you see on this Pokemon's moveset, or if something else happens inside the game, you know, it gets counter. That's weird, but it could be hilarious if it ends up working. You know, there's other things that these Pokemon can do, so if you can find a way to make that work, then go do it. Add that little bit of tech, throw the opponent off guard, and then pull some shenanigans. So if the Blaze Kick isn't working, go and put in the Stomping Tantrum. Depending on what the meta or your team dictates, fill in the gaps, and then get carried because Galarian Zapdos... Like, yeah, see, the thing is, look at Galarian Zapdos. It's a Chocobo. It is actually built for you to get on its back and then get carried very fast wherever you need to go. This Pokemon is excellent in theme and how it relates to what it does inside of the game. So we got that stuff going on. Like I said, Steel Wing, not really worth it. If you're running Bulk Up, Close Combat, well, you don't want to get rid of your defenses, and you also have, like, infinite attack scaling. So, I mean, you can actually get away with, like, Bulk Up Taunt, and then you run the lower damage moves on this Pokemon. So instead of Brave Bird, go for the Drill Peck, because you're eventually going to get there, in theory, on the Bulk Ups to a degree. And then you also have your Thunderous Kick. Thunderous Kick, it'll lower the defenses, so that's where you're getting, like, the stall matchups and you break things down. Not saying that this is, like, the most ideal situation, but it shows some of the other tech that Zapdos can run, and it catches someone off guard. If, like, you're trying to Iron Defense and tank up before the Zapdos hits the field, and then you get taunted, and then while that's happening, it sets up a Bulk Up, you're in trouble. And then if it Dynamaxes and gets speed after it already bulked up, that's just game. I don't know what item you'd run on the Zapdos after that. Like, you can get away with the Muscle Band on this Pokemon if you have the Bulk Up and you're squeaking in that extra damage. Maybe it wants a Citrus Berry because you're taunting, you're bulking up, so it needs to find, you know, a little bit of extra recovery in there. Zapdos gets away with it, and yeah, there's not really much else to say. Like, you could go through the moveset, but you try to find some cool things to do with Zapdos, but it's pretty much you Dynamax and one-shot everything, and then, like, the 3% usage moveset over here. There you go. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching. Oh, and it's probably just worth mentioning, you have Facade, and since you aren't an Electric type anymore, you might get paralyzed, so having a 140 power move in your pocket is pretty cool. Also, you can just get burned. Weird things will happen in this game. Maybe full tank Toxapex, like, see, you're not running the Stomping Tantrum, so full defense tank Toxapex gets in your way, and that first Scald burns you. Hit it with a Facade. That'll be funny. So, a couple of extra options on top of it, but for the most part, you just run Dynamax, absurd, overwhelming pressure Galarian Zapdos.